General Hospital spoilers. Jason and Alexis clash over Danny's future. General Hospital spoilers indicate that Alexis Davis, Nancy Lee Gran, has to say goodbye to her daughter, Sam McCall, Kelly Monaco, this week. As viewers know, Sam passed away after donating a portion of her liver to help save Lulu Spencer, Alexa Havens. It's still unclear exactly why Sam suddenly had a heart attack after successfully coming through the surgery, but the autopsy report should eventually shed some light on the matter. General Hospital spoilers. Danny Morgan will last out at Lucas Jones. Sam's teenage son, Danny Morgan, Asher Antonisen, will certainly have quite a bit to say about his mother's death. Since the autopsy results still haven't come back, Danny will blame Dr. Lucas Jones, Van Hansis, for Sam's death. Lucas was Sam's brother, and Danny believes that Lucas shouldn't have performed the surgery since they were related even though Sam insisted on it. Look for Danny to lash out at Lucas during the funeral. GH spoilers. Danny Morgan is at a loss. Danny is clearly at a loss following Sam's death. Eventually, decisions will have to be made about Danny and his younger sister, Scout Quartermain, Cosette Abinant. Danny's preference would be to remain a family unit with Scout, as well as Rocco Falconeri, Finn Franciscar, since they have all been living together as a family unit with Sam and Dante Falconeri, Dominic Zampravna. But if that's not possible, Danny has asked his father, Jason Morgan, Steve Burton, if they can live together. General Hospital spoilers. Alexis Davis wants Danny Morgan to live with her. Jason is open to the possibility of Danny living with him, but he's likely going to find opposition from Alexis, who has already made it clear that she believes both Danny and Scout should live with her. Alexis knows that Sam had concerns about Jason's dangerous lifestyle and how it could hurt Danny. So look for her to fight for what she believes Sam would want, even if that may no longer be the case. Sam and Jason were doing a much better job at co-parenting before she died, and Sam was much more open about Danny and Jason spending time together, which Alexis may not be aware of. So look for things to get messy when it comes to Danny and Scout's future living arrangements. What do you think? Where should Danny live after things settle down? Is Alexis right to want to limit Jason and Danny's time together? Or should she listen to what Danny wants? Anything can happen in Port Charles, so stay tuned to General Hospital, airing weekdays on ABC. The bustling corridors of General Hospital mirrored the storm brewing in the lives of two of Port Charles' most compelling residents. Jason Morgan and Alexis Davis, once tenuously connected by family ties and mutual respect, now found themselves on opposing sides of a critical decision: the future of their son, Danny Morgan. It began with a summons. Alexis, ever the meticulous attorney, had requested a meeting with Jason at her office. The subject line of her email had been simple: Danny's future, urgent. Jason, who had always been protective of his son, immediately felt a knot tighten in his stomach. His instincts told him this wasn't about something as mundane as school grades or extracurricular activities. Alexis wouldn't call him unless it was serious. Jason arrived at Alexis' office, his trademark leather jacket slung over his shoulder, his expression unreadable. Alexis, seated behind her desk with a folder meticulously organized in front of her, didn't waste any time. Jason, I've been doing some thinking about Danny, she began, her tone measured but firm. With Sam away in California working on her new investigative project, we need to decide what's best for him moving forward. Jason's brow furrowed. What do you mean? Danny's doing fine. He's happy, healthy, and well-adjusted. What's the issue? Alexis took a deep breath, steeling herself. The issue is his education, his future. Jason, Danny is a brilliant kid. He needs opportunities that'll challenge him, nurtured his talents. I've been looking into Eastwood Academy, a private school in New York. It's got a rigorous program, amazing faculty, and it would give Danny access to resources that public schools just can't provide. Jason's jaw tightened. A private school in New York? That's hours away from Port Charles. How is that supposed to work? He'd have to live there. Alexis nodded. Yes, it's a boarding school, and it's the best option for him. Jason leaned forward, his voice low and tense. You're talking about sending my son away, Alexis. Away from his home, his friends, his family. Do you even know how Danny feels about this? Jason, Alexis said sharply, I'm not suggesting we force him into it. I think we should present it to him as an opportunity and let him decide. But we have to consider what's best for him in the long run. You've always said you want Danny to have a better life than you did. This is how we do that. Jason leaned back, crossing his arms. Danny's life isn't just about academics. He's a kid. He needs stability, time to be with people who love him, not pressure to perform at some elite school miles away. Alexa's eyes flashed. And what kind of stability are you providing, Jason? You're still entrenched in Sonny's world, no matter how much you try to shield Danny from it. Do you really think that's the environment he should grow up in? The accusation hung in the air like a storm cloud. Jason's hands clenched into fists, but he held his temper. My life isn't perfect, Alexis, but I've done everything I can to keep Danny safe. And for the record, Sonny's world has nothing to do with him. He's not a part of it. But he's still in proximity to it, Alexis countered. And that's a risk, Jason, one I'm not willing to overlook. The two sat in silence for a moment, the weight of their argument pressing down on them. Alexis, ever the pragmatist, tried a different approach. Jason, she said softly, you've always wanted to protect Danny. This is a way to do that. He'll be in a safe, structured environment, far away from the dangers of Port Charles. Jason's voice softened, but his resolve didn't waver. You're not wrong about wanting what's best for him, Alexis. But what you're describing isn't what's best. Danny belongs here, surrounded by the people who love him. And I won't let him feel abandoned just because we think we know better. Alexis sighed, knowing this wasn't a battle she could win in one sitting. We're not going to solve this tonight. Let's both take some time to think it over. Maybe we can revisit it after we've had a chance to talk to Danny. Jason nodded curtly and stood. Fine, but make no mistake, Alexis, I'm not going to let anyone take my son away from me. Not even you. As Jason left her office, Alexis slumped back in her chair, rubbing her temples. She knew Jason's intentions were good, but she couldn't shake the feeling that her perspective was the right one. Danny deserved the best opportunities in life, even if it meant making tough choices. Meanwhile, Jason's thoughts churned as he strode through the hospital corridors. He knew Alexis wasn't his enemy, but her suggestion felt like a threat to the life he'd worked so hard to build for Danny. His mind drifted to Sam, wondering how she'd react when she inevitably found out about this latest clash. Later that evening, Danny unwittingly became the centerpiece of the drama. He was sitting on the living room floor of Sam's house, surrounded by Legos and a half-finished model spaceship, when Jason arrived to pick him up for their planned pizza night. Hey, Dad, Danny said brightly, holding up the spaceship. Check it out. I'm almost done. Jason smiled, crouching down to inspect the model. That's awesome, buddy. You've got some serious skills. As they sat down for dinner, Jason hesitated, debating whether to bring up the topic of the boarding school. He decided to wait, wanting to enjoy the evening without casting a shadow over their time together. But Alexis had other plans. The next day, she invited Danny to lunch at Kelly's. carefully broaching the topic of Eastwood Academy. She framed it as an exciting adventure, highlighting the opportunities and fun experiences he could have. Danny listened intently, his young face a mixture of curiosity and apprehension. "But I'd have to leave Port Charles," he asked. "Yes," Alexis admitted. "But you'd come back for holidays and vacations, and you'd make lots of new friends there." "I don't know, Grandma," Danny said hesitantly. "I like my school here. And what about Mom and Dad? I wouldn't see them as much." Alexis felt a pang of guilt, but pressed on gently. "You'd still see them, Danny, and they'd be so proud of you for taking this big step." When Danny later mentioned the conversation to Jason, the storm reignited. Jason confronted Alexis in the hospital parking lot, their voices rising as they rehashed the same arguments. "You went behind my back, Alexis," Jason said angrily. "You had no right to talk to Danny about this without me." "I was simply exploring the idea with him," Alexis shot back. "You can't shield him from everything, Jason." As their argument reached its peak, an unexpected figure intervened. Sam, back in town for a brief visit, stepped between them, her expression one of exasperation. "Enough," she said firmly. "Both of you. This isn't about who's right or wrong. It's about what's best for Danny. And the only way we're going to figure that out is if we work together, not tear each other apart." The tension between Jason and Alexis didn't dissipate completely, but Sam's presence brought a temporary truce. The trio agreed to sit down with Danny and have an honest discussion about his feelings and what he wanted for his future. As the dust settled, it became clear that the battle over Danny's future wasn't just about him.